All right, in this video, we are working on a Troy-Bilt Storm 2410 snowblower, and it will not start. So we want to check for gas. We got gas in there. Actually, looks a little varnishy. Doesn't look clear, it looks kind of brown. So that's a little indicator. Want to check our oil. Oil looks really good and right where it should be. Check for spark. So just pull the spark plug, boot off, and remove the spark plug. And just plug the spark plug back in, and it's good to rest on there so it's grounded out. The key is in, so we should pull this and we can see spark. So that tells me we got something going on with the carburetor. So next we need to remove this heat shield, the throttle, the choke lever, and then we got two nuts here that hold everything on. Just grab onto this and wiggle and pull. It will come. Just get a screwdriver to pry this off. So there's a bolt back here in between the gas tank and the heat shield. Maybe taking this off will make it a little bit easier to get in there. I mean, I guess I gotta inspect the belts anyways. There we go. And you gotta come over here and remove the electric start because one of those screws holds that piece on. All right, so it's all come off now. That's a heat shield. Set it aside. Your plastic piece. Well, we got our prime line and our kill switch line that's connected right here. So you get these two bolts out. Now remove this little air breather cover. Alright, now we should come out a little bit more. The blow-by tube for the valve cover is still hooked up. So that can definitely make it so it won't come out. So you can just get a screwdriver or maybe some needle nose pliers. Just get it in there and just grab it and work it off. There we go. And then get our prime line unhooked and it should just dangle over here. All right, next you gotta unhook your linkage and your spring from the top of the carburetor. You got some gaskets here. Remember how those go on. Just set them aside. This needs to come off. This is for the choke. Just set everything down in an order in the same way you took it off. That way you know how it goes back on. All right, next is the gas line. All right, normally I just have a screwdriver that I'll shove into the gas line, but because this gas that's in here is varnished, I don't want to ruin that gasket. Hold on. Oh, there it goes. Set that aside. I'm going to drain the gas. So I have a gas can sitting here, and it's my catch the old gas can. So let's let that drain. That gas is drained. And actually what I'll do before I hook this line back up is I'm gonna add new gas to the tank and then let some of it just flow through, just get anything out of the bottom. But there's our carburetor. Let's go clean it. You can already see the puddle of gas forming and see how discolored it is. Let's just clean the jets and the pilot jet and the pathways, and I think we should be good. All right, just gonna move the pin, the needle, and the float, set that aside. Remove the main jet, emulsion tube. Those came out on their own. That is a good sign. Sometimes these things get so varnished that those get stuck in there and can't get them out. End up just replacing the carburetor. But that was our idle screw. Here's our pilot jet. And that is it for taking this carburetor apart. So the next thing you want to do is get an old wire, whatnot. This is off a lawnmower cable. And we want to make sure that this goes through the main jet. Just run it through it back and forth. And then off camera, I'm going to hold this up to a light and make sure I can see the light come through the pinhole in the middle, which I can. Got our pilot jet, the same thing. There's a little tiny hole at the tip here. Should be able to work a wire through it because that runs up to here. And that is being a little stubborn. But sometimes my wire won't fit through that. So what I'll do is just take some carb cleaner and spray it. And when I spray it in the tip there, I should see it come out the holes on the side. All right, and that it is. Just gonna spray the float a little. It's not that bad. Next, spray the pathways in the carb. There's one right here. One right here. That's where the pilot jet is, so we just spray a little through there. All right, so far, everything is checking out good. Now we got to do the emulsion tube. There's a main pathway, or got the emulsion tube. There's all these little holes on the side, and then right down the middle is the hole. So we got to make sure that there's nothing blocking that. So just off camera, I'm holding it up to a light to make sure that we can see through everything, and we can. All right, we got everything clean. We'll put that emulsion tube back in, put our main jet back in. Just snug up that jet. It doesn't have to be super tight. We'll put our needle and float back on. Put our pin back in. Put our bowl back on. I didn't replace any of the gaskets. Everything looks fine. Nothing's dry rotted, cracked. I'm gonna put our pilot jet back in. And then we put our idle set back on. And then that's about how far I set them. I mean, you can adjust it once it's in there, but like right there is really usually good. All right, a little different angle putting the carburetor back on, but you know, it's just the reverse of what we did. So we're gonna slide that in and then hook the linkage back up. And then just grab that spring. Hooks right there. Slide that back. Don't forget our gaskets. And, oh yeah, I was gonna put some, new gas in the tank. Just a little. I just want to let it flush through a little. Let's see if I can do this without spilling gas everywhere. All right. So now we can hook this gas line back up. And you're probably gonna drip gas everywhere. Just do it as quick as you can. Less gas as possible everywhere. Just get that hose back on. Get our clamp back on. Maybe that angle wasn't the best. I don't know. Maybe this angle's the best. You tell me in the comments. I think that my videos are on a tripod and stable and only showing one thing. Get a lot of comments that people like that. All right, we got our linkage for our choke. This is that way. That goes in there. This goes here. All right, what I'm doing now is I'm just going to test that the cleaning fixed the issue. So instead of trying to put all that plastic back on and all that, we're just going to put those studs on there, or those, not studs, sleeves. Whoops. And we're going to tighten these up. And now we can start it up, make sure it runs right, and then if it runs right, then we can put all this back together. So we'll just full choke it. Full choke. It's in run. The key is still in and the plastic is just dangling down there. All right. It's running great. So gas was old, but just not old enough to do any major carnage on that carburetor. So now we just kind of have to get everything lined back up, get everything in place a little. I think that kind of went under, and then these went here. But before we get all that together, don't forget, right here is your little prime line. Make sure that that gets connected to the top of the carburetor. All right, that's in there. That's there. These little sleeves, they always fall out. I don't think they ever stay in, but they just slide back in there. Tighten these up. And just come over here. Get your plug mounted back on. And then we just got to get our heat shield back on. All right, so now you just got to put your throttle lever back on. And your choke knob back on. They just press back on there.